a lot of people are like, well, I'm going to go out into the country and own a farm, and I'm going to do all, grow vegetables. Well, one state in Australia, I believe Victoria, they've already talked about outlawing vegetable gardens. And they're coming at every angle, all right, every angle. I said to a man in the States, it's a prepper, someone that prepares for stuff, and he's breeding rabbits because he's like, I can have a rabbit skinned in 2 minutes and cooked and bred in this rate. And excuse me, and I've stored all this stuff, and I'm out on a farm. I'm like, okay, so what, you think you're going to be fat, plump and lush, and everybody around you is going to be starving, and they're going to leave you alone. So you're going to be up at night with a gun. You say, I got a gun. It's okay, you prepared to use that gun? Because if you're not, you're not going to last. And so then they say, yeah, of course I'm prepared to use the gun. Well, okay, so the second you pull the trigger on the gun, now you're going to have the authorities turn up with bigger guns. So let's get realistic here. It's a matter of being under the radar. And when you talk to people in countries in like Venezuela and that have provision, they keep it under the radar, because if you something that's too obvious, you're going to have a problem. People are going to take it from you, and beyond that, the government's going to take it from you. There is no escape. So you can sell your house, run out into the country, might make you feel good for a little bit, but ultimately they're coming for you, and they've said they are, because they are not going to allow people in one part to have an economy inside another economy that's doing well. The time frame of this, I don't know, but it will unfold, and I think what we do is we live in the cracks, meaning find the little areas, stay in there, find a way and keep going. Let's talk about what the government does in times of pressure like this, and from Venezuela and Brazil and other countries that have done some of this. But I'm going to use Venezuela as an example here. The man was saying that people were on $6,000 a month Venezuelan dollars. The buying power of that was 6,000, say, pretty much US dollars a month. So they were doing good. But as the Venezuelan dollar crashed, hyperinflation came in. What they got now is a value of that 6,000 is valued at about $6. Hard to comprehend, isn't it? This is what I'm talking about. You can't store cash. So a lot of the people that went into government thinking government work is a good place to be. Government doesn't give you pay increases that can keep up with inflation. What government does is they put more people on, because it's socialism. So they'll have somebody lick the stamp, another person put the stamp on the envelope, another person write one word on the envelope, another one writes the address on the envelope, and another one. So you get the point. Socialism is that. And that's what the government does as all this hits. They will make as much work for as many as they can. Then what they did in places like Venezuela is they give you a gift pack once a month. You get toothpaste, toilet paper, universal basic income is where they're going, and the WEF has talked about that. You're going to own nothing, and you're basically going to have universal basic income. So we'll provide for you what you need. That's not acceptable, but that's what they are headed towards. So look at that and think, okay, how can I adapt to that? The Venezuelan man said, don't work in the government, work in essential areas, because then people want to get out of government into essentials to earn better. Nobody wants them because they're used to licking postage stamps all day and doing nothing else, say, or changing a light bulb or nothing. They do nothing. They stare at the ceiling all day. They don't know how to work. The government is not the place to be. People, he said, tell people don't get contracts directly with the government in these times. You think they're going to pay, they don't. And who do you go after? As inflation hits and you're getting a contract direct from the government, it goes bad, you go bad. He said, if you're going to work for the government, make sure the contract's through somebody else that you can get the money out of, because the government chops and changes things as they feel like it, because in socialism, they'll say it's for the greater good. Oh, we took your contract and your money, but it was for the greater good. I've already covered it, that housing will be nationalised. We saw in Bulgaria and places like that, if you had a 5-bedroom home in a city that was needed, they would come in, the government would come in and say, well, we have a housing crisis, we have 7 million immigrants, they need somewhere to live, we're going to put another family in your bedroom, not your room with you, but in another bedroom in your house, and you will share that. And if you don't, you say, well, I'm not having that. But bear in mind, they probably by that point will own your mortgage. So if they've nationalised your mortgage and you're paying the mortgage to some government institution or bank or something, then they're just going to say, if you don't do as we say, we'll foreclose on you and your whole family will be out. It's all coercion. How do you stop these sort of things? Well, Venezuela said we had our family were living in a lot of our homes. People, 5-bedroom house would have 20, 30 people living in it, all in the same family. I suggest a good thing to do if you have an asset is to start to utilise that. Start to prepare. I think if you have assets, start to utilise those things now. But bear in mind, we're not going back to normal. It's not going to be what it was. Life is changing. A multipolar world is being established. A new world order is coming in. Build back better, but they are still breaking to build back better. Socialism is what they are bringing. I suggest some things that could help ease the pain. They're not long-term solutions, but one of them is, I have videos on there. I made a container home for less than $1,000. I used used stuff. I'm not a builder, just so you know. I don't build, but I did it all myself. And it was a lot of work, but it was quite easy to do. And like I said, it was under $1,000. Put something like that in the back of your home. If you have a big yard, put it in the back of your yard. Start to think we may have to have other family members are going to turn up. People are going to turn up that lose everything and need. And you can start to have a little micro community. You can have somebody, people that come in and you say, all right, you can live in my garage, but in doing that, you're going to help feed us all, or you're going to... So you're bringing about a community that's of the right spirit. I know there can be abuses for that, but I think you can also see solutions instead of obstacles. If you've got a place in your home, a garage that you can convert it over so someone to stay in. Start to prepare that. Start to prepare maybe a rainwater tank. Start to prepare. There's the container homes that I was building, and one that I would be doing next and may even do again, had a bag that you can put outside of it. For the sewerage goes into the bag. It sounds a bit funny, but they say it doesn't smell. And then it pumped the gas back in and you could cook on the gas. So there's so many things you can do like that. So what about the city? Well, there's ways around it. Here in Australia, I'm in Queensland currently. As long as it's not permanently fixed, it's okay. So as long as it can be moved, and these 20-foot containers can be picked up and moved by a tow truck. I have a video on that. You can watch that video if you're interested in that sort of thing. If you have a lot of cash, don't store your money in cash. It's probably the dumbest thing you can do because it's going to be inflated away and it'll be toilet paper. Look online how much Zimbabwe dollars or Venezuelan dollars you need to go out and eat, and it's going to be the same with cash. They are getting rid of cash through inflation, as I've already covered. While your cash is worth something, buy assets that are good assets to own. People say, I'm going to buy real estate. I personally don't think that's a good investment, because they are coming after that. They've made it very obvious. They've stated they're coming after that. You're not going to be able to fight it. So I think the better thing you can do there is, because think about it with real estate. Venezuela, it's been over 20 years and the market hasn't changed. Real estate, if you bought real estate at the beginning of this, I have a friend there. He's trying to sell his house for years. He'll get nothing for it. So when they crash the economy there, your house, it's going to be nationalised, the debt, or the value of it. Who's going to be able to buy it from within the economy? It's again, you need to have an income stream outside of your country to be able to buy it. And those that have done that in the right way, I believe, may be able to come in and buy that real estate. But I don't believe real estate is an amazing investment, as people seem to think it's a good place to park. It's not. And I'll give you another reason why, because the government's going to put massive taxes on it. They're already doing that. Here in Australia, I had one of my friends was paying about $2,500 a year in his taxes. They've revalued his land at the same time as that tax increase. It's now gone up to $6,500 in 1 year, a $4,000 increase. It's so easy for the government to coerce you to sell. So you own some big piece of land and you think, I'm safe, I've got an asset. And what do? They put the taxes up and then they revalue your land from $2 million to $10 million and tax you on that $10 million account, and you're stuffed, because how are you going to pay it? you don't have the income. Real estate, I do not believe, is a good investment. They've